$1.70 an hour.
Really?
Yeah, that's. But guess how much tax I paid?
And you?
$75. Hello. Hi. I paid.
My hand was covering your face, sorry.
It's fine. $975.
You paid $900 in taxes?
$975 last pay period. The 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, $975.
In tax?
Yes. That's just 2 weeks. In
Oh
all.
my God. $1,000 they took from you.
Yeah. From the poorest people.
Right, right. We're struggling to be here.
Yeah, 1,000. Usually it's like 700 every paycheck.
And it goes to a lot of the people that are living here free. That's what it goes to.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
gives me even more of a reason to be upset.
$1,000? That's like $2,000 a month just
Yeah.
for taxes.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
Well, it's not so much, I mean, obviously they don't need the money. It's they want to just keep you from having it. That's all it is. You know, like that everyone's like, oh, that, you know, the state or you know, the country, you know, why do they take that much tax? They don't need it. It's like, well, of course they don't need it, but they just don't want you to have it.
I heard they're trying to stop people from coming in illegal now.
Yeah, I think that it's already too late. It's already, you know, even if we stop tomorrow, it would still too much.
I think it's like, it's getting like hundreds of thousands in so many countries that they're, oh, we should have walked the other side.
You know, it's funny, my Irish friends that I lived with at the end of the 90s into the 2000s, they were all here on green cards trying to get their citizenship. They all had jobs. They came here to work. They worked the whole time, and I don't think any of them got in eventually.
What?
Yeah, they didn't make it. They didn't make it in. So I think one of them kind of stayed, like he just became illegal. But these are working guys that were here doing work. Most of them were mechanics.
Yeah, but were they working legal or illegal?
They were on some kind of work visa. With the intent to get citizenship. They were here trying to get citizenship. They wouldn't give them, they wouldn't let them stay, but they let people walk in at the southern border and they're citizens.
I wonder why.
Because they don't want people like my friends. Because my friends are independent, they work, they make their own money. They want people who don't work because then they can control them. They want people who are going to be on the government. Because if you're on the government, then they control you. You know, they don't want, you know, my buddies in here because they work. They have jobs, you know. And they're not the right kind of people that they want here, you know. So, I mean, there's that too. They're a little bit too Caucasian for immigration's taste, you know. And they did this for like 5-6 years, some of them, trying to get in. And they went, nah, you don't meet the requirements. It's like, well, dude, what you should do is go move to Mexico, become citizens there, and then just sneak into the U.S. And then you'll be fine. In fact, you won't even have to work after that.
Just have kids.
Yeah, they would absolutely not take, they would not take the government off.
Yeah, I heard it's more strict to come legal now.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like if someone wanted to get to live for free and get all the shit.
Just have kids here.
No, go to become a citizen over in Mexico, and then sneak back over the border.
Because they said that
then
if
you're
you
legal.
have kids in America.
Yeah, they're anchor babies. Yeah, anchor babies. It's not. It's all, you know. This is all by design, obviously. But yeah, as far as, I mean, not letting any more people in, that's like chasing the horse down the street, yelling, close the barn door. Doesn't matter. It's already, you know, what's done is done already. Let's go. Close the barn door. How's the horse sound? Was it a horse too? The horse goes. Meh. The horse goes. Woof, woof.
Oh my God.
Does that little thing. Remember that Fisher Price?
Yes.
You might be too young for that,
Oh,
but
like dog.
yeah, it was like a little toy you had when you were a
Yeah.
kid, and you'd pull a string, and it had like a little
Yeah, I remember.
arrow. Yeah, they were kind of popular.
It was fun.
Do you know what a fun, not a fun, but kind of like a
Back then, that was fun.
no, I mean, I was supposed to
Not
say
now.
that one of like a ridiculous Mandela effect is
Oh,
that,
yeah.
remember when you were in school and they had the food pyramid?
Yes.
Well, that
Cheese, meat.
was not introduced until the mid 1990s.
Oh, wow.
It never existed before that.
Oh, they just made it up
Yeah, like, so,
to sell.
no, it was in school. I remember it in
Like-
school, right?
Are they trying to sell to school like
No.
dairy product?
No,
Because they get a lot of contracts.
what I'm saying is they're saying that it didn't exist
Oh.
when we were in school. It's a Mandela effect
No,
thing.
we had it.
I know, I had it too. And they're
It was-
saying, no, it was introduced in the 1990s. People just have a bad memory. It's
No,
like,
it was
no.
like a pink
Right, I remember
square
it.
like this.
And the thing is, because it's like Satan's world, the food pyramid, if you look at it, is completely inverted. All the stuff that you should be eating more of
Yeah.
is the stuff they're telling you
Don't
not
eat less.
to eat. Right. It's completely inverted, almost exactly.
It's like milk.
Right,
Meat.
almost exactly inverted. It's fucking crazy.
Get home safely.
All right, I will.
Love you. Bye.
I'll walk over to you.
Oh, you sure?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, I was watching this Korean show and they talk about San Francisco.
Yeah.
Remember I told you San Francisco is my favorite city?
Well, you lived there for a while, right?
Yeah, like 2-3 months. But guess what?
What?
It's not what that used to be now.
Oh yeah, it's a
Kinda
mess.
like Detroit. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah. Oh, it's been like that for a while.
Oh my god, the main
Yeah.
shopping area.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like a tent city there.
Yeah, like fentanyl over.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Love you.
Oh yeah. I'll see you later, Mom.
Text me when you're home.
All right. You too. Yeah, San Francisco's been gone for a long time. I mean, it's been, at least 10 years, maybe, I guess, where it's been like Star Trek levels. And what I'm referring to is that episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, where, I think it was Deep Space Nine, because I think it was Captain Sisko, Avery Brooks. They go back in time to San Francisco, back in time from their time. And I think they go to like the 90s, and it's all tense, like how it looks now. And Cisco is like, the what's happening here? And like, well, during this time period, and he kind of describes what's happening now. Except like in our quote unquote real reality time, it kind of became that a little bit later. I think in the no, and the show came out in the 90s. I gotta figure this out now. The show was in the 90s, but they were way in the future. I think they went back to the 2000s. They went back to 2000s because the show was in the 90s. So it's probably right around the same time. I have to look at that. I have to check that out. It's almost like they knew. Because they did. Yeah, this is all a script. Like about a month ago, I was talking about that 4chan post on X that it's been, it pops up every once in a while. And it was this guy that had a friend his friend and his dad were Freemasons. And they were talking about Antarctica and what they're doing down there. These giant construction projects where they found all these tunnels and like kind of an underground city. And he's talking about all these statues. And this interesting thing they found was like a machine, right? And this machine was like almost like a microfiche or a slide machine that you put slides into. But all the slides were like on these sort of glass plates. He said they look like stained glass or something.
Oh, yeah.
And he said on the plates were all these pictures of like it was exactly what's on the Illuminati cards by Steve Jackson. It shows all these things like martial law, clone president, like all these things that ended up on the cards. Now, I don't know if that's where exactly what they took those pictures exactly and put them on the cards, or if they were inspired by these plates. But yeah, it's almost like he was saying that you could put them in, and I guess maybe it would play that part, or it would make that part happen in this world. And some of them were broken, some of them were like smashed up. Kind of interesting shit. But yeah, it just kind of feeds into the idea that there is some kind of script here, and I think it's been run many, many times, and it's always run kind of the same thing that they follow, and then they have a reset or a shake-up, and they kind of do it all again. And they may not, I don't think they even go through all the events. It's just they start a new group of people. Like for us here now, it was the late 1800s that people say our last reset was. So everything before that, you know, the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, all these historical things are just part of a story, you know, that they had, that they then present to the new group of people. So it may not even have actually really happened. It just could be part of the story that they pass on every time. And, you know, I kind of believe that when you look at these photos of like Civil War photos, where it's just like, it looks like those mall photos where they used to have the old-timey photography places where you could wear the uniforms and stuff. It's just all these guys that look like they're posing for photo. Like this is a picture of a soldier in the Civil War or something, and it just looks like a dude like who's not really fighting in a war. He's just dressed up like he's fighting in a war. Same thing with the American Indians. Like, why do they have these portraits of these guys out by these teepees with it all their gear on and everything? And you know, you look at some of those, it's like, this fucking guy's Italian. You know what I mean? It's like they don't look real. And I've heard the whole idea, the whole theory, the whole about how the Old West, as it's depicted in films, is a complete Hollywood creation. The idea about cowboys and Indians and trying to go into the frontier, because there was no frontier. You know, that was already populated. We had cities all over that area. So this whole story of how the, you know, cowboys versus Indians and the frontier western towns, that's all the Hollywood concoction. And they had it down to a guy that was the like patient zero for this Hollywood story that was created. I saw it years ago. It's pretty interesting, and I don't know how true it is, but it kind of got me thinking, because what, like that area where they're supposed to be frontiering or, you know, settling was already settled. I mean, you already had cities there, you know, so it's like, it's interesting stuff. But yeah, so it's like a whole storybook, like a whole script that they have, that they keep replaying. Do I wait for this fucking thing? I kind of don't want to. I'm going. You have to be careful though, because cops they're not around until you jaywalk, and then all of a sudden they fall out of the sky. Minister of Horror was talking about the USA Today thing from the Jewish tunnels there, and how the gaslighting that's going on. Now, when I did a video about it the other day, the only thing I had seen was the USA Today article from Hannah, whatever faces, the lady that I kind of discovered doesn't exist after some research into her. I'm sure a lot of newspapers do this. They just put a picture there and a name. The only thing of her I found really on social media that was really her, or that was attributed to her, was a Twitter page, an X page, where she had 15 followers. I forget when it was made. I should have looked at that. I can look at it again, but you know, whatever. The point is, with the same photo too. A lot of these people are fake. You know, they just take a picture and they put a name because no one's reporting this stuff. They know what they're gonna say. They just have to run certain stories. And what we're watching in real time is how they're crafting and shaping the story. A lot like all the other psyops. Like when, you know, the school thing, the hook thing. I watched that in real time, and that story changed all kinds of times. There's characters that came in, characters that went out. There was a brother who they found in the woods, and then he was out of the story. And then there were 5 other people in the woods, and then they were out of the story. It's like they throw all this stuff at the wall to cause confusion, and they work on the story as it goes, probably predicated on feedback from the public, until they craft their final form of the tale, and then they just shove that down your throat. But we're seeing it happen now with this thing in real time. And this is what they do with all of it. They do all these stories like this. Why are we seeing this one? Well, it could be the veil thing, you know, is that we're just seeing more things. But the fact that it's being controlled like a psyop makes me think that it is indeed a psyop. Like, how did they find these out of, you know, because this stuff is ancient. What I and many others think what's probably going on with this is something they've done, you know, for centuries. This is Canaanite stuff, you know, blood ritual, blood sacrifice. I mean, this has always gone on, right? So these tunnels probably pretty old. And the thing about it too is, like, when it's just like every other psyop, when it first starts and it first gets in the media, they throw all kinds of things out there. So one of the stories was the reason the mattresses were there, and this was in the media, the reason the mattresses were there is because they had workers, illegal workers, who were building it, and they needed somewhere to sleep. So those mattresses belonged to them. Now we're doing the there were no mattresses thing. And when I talked about it the other day, I showed that article, and I was like, yeah, this is crazy, right? I didn't think it would go beyond that. But no, it's that story of no mattresses has now moved to every debunking group, and now it's, you know, the official narrative is that there were never mattresses of any kind, and it's an anti-Semitic alt-right conspiracy theory to say that there was, even though the footage still exists. But this is how they do everything. This is how history is crafted this way. It's all like this. Like, I watched 3/11 was an inside job in real time, and pretty closely. And a lot of stuff came out around that time that was in memory hold. They all function this way. You know, they don't come out with one story and stick to it. They throw a bunch of horse shit out there all at once. Most of it conflicting with the other parts of it. And I guess the reason they do this is to sow confusion, and I guess also float these ideas out to see what gets the biggest pop, or what people react to the most, or what people believe the most, and then from there they craft the narrative. And since they own, you know, I have to say, like, you know, you say they own the media. No, they own communications. They own, to say the media, like, it just makes it sound like, you know, they control Fox and CNN. No, any form of communication, they have complete full spectrum dominance over it. Every aspect of it they have. So no matter what we say or what anyone on the street says, they just keep saying it over and over again. And then the people who didn't see it in real time then argue with us that, you know, we're crazy. No, they said there was no, the police chief said there was no mattresses there. You're just an anti-Semite. And then that's how you have everything. That's the entire world. That's how it's always been. So why is this one Why are we being able to see this one? So many of us are seeing it. I don't know. Like, why would there cameras there when, if they're trying to, if this is if the blood libel, if it's a blood libel tunnel, which, you know, probably is, it's what seems to be the obvious thing. Why would they be filming it being found? Like, the first footage you see of it being torn into is from Jews there start tearing into it themselves. Later, the cops show up. And it's such a weird thing. Like, you watch that footage, and I watched a bunch of it. And it's like, sometimes they're laughing and joking with the cops. And then they're in the tunnel, standing there blocking it. And then the cops are in the tunnel. And then they got an area roped off for them to dance in. I don't know. I mean, why were the cameras there in the first place to find them opening this up? I guess people were seeing them coming out of things in the street, which it's like, well, it's weird no one noticed that before. You know, like that video of the guy coming up through the ground like a rat. I have that on my channel too. You know, like no one had seen that before. The whole thing is weird. It's weird. And like even the fact that we're watching it being changed in real time, if they wanted to, I guess you wouldn't see any of this. So I don't understand what it's all about. But it feels like just a regular psyop. But why would they be doing a psyop about this? I don't know. Is it a way to be able to frame people in the future? Like, okay, now the narrative is that there was no mattress, and if you do say there was, and you're an alt-right, anti-Semitic person. So is it going to be one of those cases where they use it to make people stick their neck out? Like, oh, this guy thinks there were mattresses, so, you know, what, yet another list? Or he gets picked up by the band before the others? Like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what the point of this is. But I know there's a lot of ineptitude going on. You know, they're not doing a very good job of this thing that kind of used to run pretty well. And yeah, there was a lack of media back then, like in my dad's day or whatever. You know, it's kind of hard to get information around. So it made it much easier for them to do it. You know, that's got to be what's going on. Like I always say, like, yeah, the G-men of the past, they were way better at this stuff, way more efficient. But they didn't have, no one had fucking camera phones. So maybe the perception is that they were better at it, but they didn't have to worry about everything being on film. You know, information traveled very slowly, and you weren't going to hear it on the news unless it was very, very vetted. And people believed the news was fucking gospel back then. You know? Why would Walter Cronkite lie? Why would he lie to me? People had no idea. They didn't have no idea what kind of world they were in back then. You know? And, I mean, you can still talk to older people that say the same thing, or even younger people. Like, they don't understand. Like, well, why would they do that? The government wouldn't do that. Why would they do that? It's like, really? Because people with insane amounts of power would never get together to try to collaborate on a way to keep that power and maintain that power, right? Like, they're just gonna, well, you know, when I die, I hope the family figures out a way to stay off the streets. No, of course they're gonna try to keep that power base like forever, especially if they control a lot of stuff. And the idea that you think it's ridiculous that rich and powerful people wouldn't collaborate on a long-term plan just makes you look retarded. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I think people do understand it. They just don't want to say it out loud because they don't want the stigma of people thinking that they're, you know, some kind of conspiracy person. And more, they're always connecting people who don't follow the official narrative to, well, they've always, connected them to conspiracy people, but now they're trying to more and more connect conspiracy people to extreme conservatism, or like right-wing stuff, or alt-right. You know, they use that term like for everything. And it's basically if they're calling something outright, something they don't want you to know about, talk about, hear about, you know, it's probably true. Well, almost 100% of the time it is, you know, otherwise you wouldn't be trying to slag you with that title. And then people hear it and they're like, oh shit, I don't want, you know, my boss to think I'm all right, you know. So yeah, no, I didn't see mattress. That's those crazy alt-right people, you know what I mean? Because you don't want the hassle, or you don't want to lose. Like I was saying the other day, right at this very spot, I was saying it, a lot of people can't talk like that. Actually, was it this spot? No, it was the next block down. Who cares? The point is, a lot of people aren't in a position to be able to take any position except the accepted narrative, for just the pressures of the world, your work, your family, you know, sometimes your wife or whatever. I mean, you have to go along, or else people will just, you know, put you in a group with crazy people, or say that you're a racist or anti-Semitic. No one wants that. People in the world can't afford to be in that group. You know, they can't afford to lose their job or lose whatever social standing they have or relationship. So they're kind of forced to go along with the horse shit, even if they know it's horse shit. You know, so there's kind of very few, relatively, people that can do this, or just be able to talk about this and not worry about, you know, I mean, you always got to worry about the ban. The ban is outside everything, but who don't have to worry about, you know, social pressures, relationships, jobs, things like that. You know, even if you are your own boss, you work for yourself, that's good. You can't get fired, but you could still lose your family members. You could still lose your social standing in the community. It doesn't pay to go against the beast narrative, like, ever. It only hurts you, you know. And that's the danger of doing like this kind of shit, you know, because you're just broadcasting that, you know, you're a certain kind of person, or they perceive you to be a certain kind of person, because you're reporting what you see. And usually what I'm reporting on, what I'm talking about, I can't be 100% sure all the time that what I'm saying is true, but I can be sure that I'm not lying about it. You know what I mean? I believe the stuff I talk about, and I usually try to make sure there's some validity to it before I go floating around. And if there's not, I'll always be very sure to couch it with, like, hey, this is just a theory I have, or just an idea I have. But either way, yeah, it's not a lot of people can go against the narrative. So eventually it's just going to be, yeah, there were no mattresses there, and if you mention them, you are a Nazi, you know, and that's it. And then once they decide you're that, then they can put you in all these other kind of groups. Well, are you also a this? Are you a supremacist? You know, and then you're done. I think that's kind of the world they're crafting here with this kind of stuff. But whatever, what are you going to do? You know? Some people just are going to refuse that kind of pressure and just keep telling the truth. Unfortunately, maybe sometimes to their own detriment, but shit, man, I'd rather go off in the van than spend the rest of my life thinking, well, you know, I knew that was wrong, but I didn't want to say anything. Yeah, fuck that. That's not living. You're done at that point, you know, you're done. Anyway, that's it for now. More happy stories and fun times a bit later. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.